Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm with Falcon Sails. This is a common sit-on-top kayak that we rigged a sail on. It's an Ocean Kayak Scrambler 11, and just like any other kayak, typically you need an adapter block to match our standard deck plate. Our deck plate that goes on the kayak is flat, where very rarely the deck of a kayak is flat. So we provide to you pre-made custom adapter blocks, and in this case, this happens to be a kayak that has a very particular deck shape. We do not have a custom adapter block for it, but what we do provide for our customers is a custom molding kit using J-B Weld slash a commonly used epoxy. And in this video, we're going to show you how to do it so you'll know how to do it. There's not much to it, but we're going to make a video so that you can feel confident that it's easy to do and know that the kit we send to you will include everything you need to get the sail rigged on your kayak. The first step in installing a sail is deciding where to put the mast. We've done that. And in this case, the best place we think to put it is right here, this area on the deck. And as you can see, it has a very particular molded in graphic there, a guy kayaking it looks like. And that is, we don't have an adapter block that will fit that perfectly. Not a big deal. But we do have adapter blocks for every situation that's common. In this case, I would use one of our 03R adapter blocks, and yet it's still, we're going to go ahead and mold to that, and we'll go into that, some detail on that later, but it's still leaning aft. And in the ideal world, the mast will go straight up from the deck plate, as in it will be square with it. It's not critical, it's not required, but it's just a little bit better geometry for a strong standing rig. Now what I'm going to do, because it's leaning aft, is I have just a piece of adapter block material I cut off from one of the adapters that come with the kit, and I'm just going to stick it in there like that. And now that's making it level. So I've shimmed it up. It's very simple. You can make a shim out of anything. You could take any scrap material. You could take a piece of card. I wouldn't use cardboard. It wouldn't be very strong. But you could take anything, a wood chip, anything, piece of wood, anything moderately hard that won't deform when there's a little bit of weight on it. But anything will work as a shim. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It just needs to hold it at the angle that you're looking at. And in the next clip, we're going to show you how we do this, how I would do it, my personal preference, and then you'll know how to have a good idea what to do yourself. Now that we know basically what we want to do, we wanted to make a shim. And it's just a temporary thing to hold it in place while the J-B Weld is curing. In this case, I cut off a little piece like this, and it's going to kind of hold it, make it the adapter block shaped like this, and it's super easy to do. I just took one of the pre-cut adapter block, or the adapter block blanks that included with every kit, and cut a little piece off. One thing I'll tell you is this is made out of cellular PVC, just like the piping in your house. So plumbing, PVC cement is a really easy way to bond parts together. So I'll go ahead and show you how that's done. I have some PVC cement. This is available at any hardware or plumbing store. I'm just going to use a little Q-tip here, and then I want to make sure I've got it right. Okay, so I'll go ahead and maybe put a little bit more in there. There we go, something about like that. And it doesn't have to be super well done or anything, because this is not, so this will bond these two parts together. I'm gonna move it over here. I like it there better. Now I can just ignore it. Maybe if I put a little bit of, oops, turn like that, having that. I wish I had a paper towel somewhere nearby, but just rub it on here. Not really a big deal. Okay, because this is going to get a little messed up anyways when we put the J-B Weld on. So that's our little temporary shim. In this case, it's nothing unique or special. It's just what I did in this case to get the block oriented how I like it. So we'll go ahead and show you the next step after this hardens up, which will take about a minute. I showed you recently how to attach a shim to the adapter block that we're working on, and I just wanted to show you how easy it is to come up with a piece of the material. This is what we call an adapter block blank. It comes with the Falcon Sail kit. It's also made out of the PVC, and you can just walk up. This is fairly soft. It's not that soft, but with a sharp knife you can go in there and cut it, and that's exactly what I did just a minute ago. So I'm just going to kind of go in there, and I'll come in here at another angle. I mean, you could do this with anything, but I'm just using a common utility knife, and there we go. I got my piece of material, and it's PVC, and you can glue it on using the PVC cement. It's very common in material. It's very easy to do, but our adapter blocks are made out of cellular PVC, so they're perfect for the job. Now you can see we have the shim in there temporarily. It's just holding it in a nice orientation, exactly how we want it. And we're just showing this so you see how simple it is to orient the adapter block how you want it. So that's pretty simple stuff. One other point I will make here is you want to be prepared when you go ahead and do your epoxy. So it's important to set up and be ready, and practice assembling things, because when you get the epoxy or the J-B Weld onto the part, it gets a little messy, and you want to be ready so you're not fumbling around, or you're fumbling around as little as possible. There's two things, of course. Right now you can see this is oriented in here nicely, number one, and number two, the other thing you want to do, and we're going to put tape down along the perimeter of this, because the J-B Weld or epoxy will ooze out, and it will make a little bit of a mess. It won't be too bad. And then the other thing is we will go ahead and put some release agent, and that's a fancy word for something that keeps the epoxy from sticking to your plastic, and we're going to use WD-40. It's just an oil, any grease, anything. You can put that down on the plastic, and it will prevent the epoxy from sticking to it. So when we come back here, you'll see this is a little more set up that way in just a few minutes. Okay. We've masked off the area just so that if there's excess oozing out, it's just gonna keep the top of the kayak clean. I mean, it won't in general stick to the boat, but we're just being extra cautious. And the other step we're going to do right now is I'm going to put a release agent on there. That's just a fancy word for stuff that will make the epoxy not stick well. There's two things I like to use. WD-40 is one thing. You could use thin oil, even cooking oil will work. So here's WD-40, and then this I like too, 303. It's a common thing kayakers have to keep their boats clean, or it's like Armor All. Armor All will work. All kinds of things will work. But I'll go ahead and just spray a little bit of WD-40 in this container here. And then instead of spraying it and making a mess, and then I'll use a Q-tip here to, kind of just, cover the area. And this way, when we go ahead and after the epoxy cures, it doesn't harden or dry, by the way, it cures. This will not stick to it. And the other thing I like to do, there we go, that's good. The epoxy's not going to stick to that. The other thing I like to do, come on over here with the camera, we have the screws. I like to get the screws covered in WD-40 as well, so just to prevent them from sticking. So there we go. We'll mix up some epoxy now. This is a plastic boat, and basically very few things will stick to plastic, so it's it's easy to work with. A fiberglass boat or a wood boat or some other type of composite boat, the J-B Weld / epoxy may stick to it. It will stick to it more aggressively, so you want to be a little more cautious. And one very easy way to address that is to just put a piece of plastic down between, the deck plate or the adapter block and the actual deck of the boat. Maybe like right on the deck of the boat. In this case, I'm not going to do it with this boat, but the epoxy will not stick to this kind of plastic. So you'd have your epoxy going on here, and then when it hardens up, it will just lift right up. And this is something you might want to do for a composite kayak, just to be extra careful to, it just makes the job easier. It won't be a disaster because you can always get it off, but this just makes the job a little easier. Any kind of piece of plastic, a Ziploc bag, I'd cut it and make a piece that's about the right size to where you're going to put it, and then just use it as a separator between the epoxy and your boat. This is J-B Weld, commonly available everywhere. You can use any pre-thickened epoxy, but J-B Weld's the one we like because it's commonly available and it works out well. They also have another line called J-B Quick. It will harden up a little faster. We don't have it right now, but I like that too sometimes. So I'll go ahead and open this up and just mix up quite a bit of both of them. It's pretty simple. But this is quite a bit of area we want to fill in here. So I'm going to make up a pretty good, I'm going to poke open the lid here. Or break the seal with that one. And you don't want to get this on anything. It's just pretty messy stuff. So there we go. And I'm going to, like I said, do a really big batch. I want to have more than enough. There we go. You basically mix up equal parts of it. It doesn't have to be precise or anything. Here we go. You know what? I'm going to do even more. This is a pretty good size area we're filling. Okay, there's that. Okay, that looks like about equal parts. I'll go ahead and mix it up. Nothing too exciting here. If you can bake a cake, you can do this too. It's nothing extremely complicated. I'm gonna just mix it up fairly thoroughly. This is probably enough, but I'll go ahead and do some more. And this is just obviously a piece of cardboard I have it set on. There's another thing I like to do. And I like to make what I call a little spatula. I'm just going to cut off a little piece. This just helps smooth things out and clean up messes as we go. So I have a spatula that I made, but you can see this is not a high-tech operation. Take this and put that over there and put this over here. And I do believe we have the screws. Yes, we do. We have the screws. We have the adapter block with the shim on it, and we have the deck plate. All these things will go together. I'm just going to assemble it. And this is something I practiced assembled or test assembled a few times before we did it. And there we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and slather this on here. Like I said, if you can decorate a cake, you can do this. You just have to put in a shim or filler to get it oriented how you want. And here we go. go. Keep going. This is probably too much. It's probably it's gonna take 2 applications in this case, because this is a pretty good sized fill. But, there we go. I'll leave that there. This is where I get a little nervous, but it's not a big deal. I have my spatula ready to go. I'm bringing a drill with me. And I'm gonna go ahead and carefully align this. I've practiced this. I know it's gonna fit nicely. And I'm gonna use my drill. Now you don't wanna apply much screw force, because you do not want to change the shape of anything. This is just to hold it in place. So I'm gonna get, you can see it oozing out. Definitely it's filling up. Now, I have this with minimal force. Okay, let me get the boat level. I want to make sure this deck plate is level. I'm gonna loosen up this one a little bit and tighten up this one a little, but not much. I mean, it's not much force at all. And there we go. I think it's gonna be pretty good. I'll loosen this one up just a hair, and then because I'm by eyeball, I'm just trying to get it level. Does that look level to you, Liam?
Yep.
Okay, so there we go. I'll do one more step on this cut. I'm gonna take, since it's oozed out probably more than necessary, I'm just gonna clean up a little bit of it. It's easier to clean up while it's, soft like this. So it's probably just fine like that. And we'll go ahead and let this cure for a few hours. And when it's hard, we'll take it off, and then we'll show you the next step. One minor thing that anybody who deals with epoxy knows is you want to monitor how it's hardening. In this case, this is obviously not hard yet, but we just keep the scrap material for a while on the side, so you just have something you can just see it harden. Say, come back in a couple hours, it'll definitely be tacky, and tomorrow it will be nice and hard. But it's nice to just keep this stuff so you have a sample of what's actually happening on the part you're working on, and you'll know when it's ready to pull apart, because once this is really hard, it will pretty much just remove from the boat very easily. One minor thing that I like to do, and I'm not going to do it quite yet, is just turn, I'll do it. You can turn, as the epoxy starts to harden or cure, I just turn the screws just a little bit, 1/8 in that direction, loosen maybe, and let it go. And that just reduces the likelihood that the epoxy will bond to the screws. I've never seen it happen, but it's just a minor precautionary thing that I do when I'm working with epoxy. We let the epoxy / J-B Weld harden overnight. You can go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit. It's pretty ugly right now, but it's done. It's structurally done. It's ready to sail. There's not, you could be done now. Though we like to be professional, and we'll make it look nice. So what I'll do is start disassembling it, and I'll pop it off. Hopefully it pops off super easy. And I'll just go ahead and get started now. I can tear off the tape. It's a starting point. Okay, looks better already, and then I'll take a screwdriver or a drill to remove this quickly. Try and save you some time. And then let's keep going. There we go. The deck plate didn't get put together. Let's see look at that, came off super easy. I mean, it's just that easy. It's amazing, but you can see here's the bottom. It has a little bit of residue on there, which is fine. That's what made it come apart, but it just sticks on there. It's almost like magnetic. It just, boom, it's in there, perfectly aligned. It's kind of neat. So the next thing we're gonna do is just clean up the edges. You know, we can sand it off, we can cut it off, and then we'll probably give it one more layer of epoxy just to be thorough and give it a super nice look. And I guess that's it. So we'll see you in the next clip. This hasn't gotten too hard. I can just shave off a lot with a knife, and I'll go ahead and try and do that now and see what happens. Now, this is a little bit tough right now, so. But had I taken this off, say, maybe some hours earlier, this would be easier to cut, but it's gotten to a hard stage. So we'll just go ahead and take it to a belt sander. To keep it simple, instead of using a belt sander, I'm gonna go ahead and just use some sandpaper here and just go for it. Yeah, that's taking it off real quick. This is pretty easy. You want to be careful not to get into the adapter block, the original adapter block. It's not a big deal, but if you want a nice cosmetically perfect job, just be careful about getting into the adapter block, because that tells you the size you want it to be also. Yeah, that's like taking it off quickly. Yeah, it's working really good. And this is pretty high or gritty sandpaper at 60, so any grit will work, but to really whack off a lot at once, 60 grit's good. Look at that, it's getting almost done. That side's done, it just feels good. You can see there's still a void in there, not a big deal. We'll just go ahead and do another coat of epoxy, and that will fill up in one more coat, and this is gonna look great in just a next frame or two. Okay, we rough sanded the edges of this and put it back on temporarily just to show you. It looks a lot nicer, and that was quick, it was fast. Not even necessary. It's 100% structurally sound. It's just not as pretty, but this is what it would look like if you'd stop at that point. We're gonna go ahead and put on one more coat, sand it one more time, and that's probably gonna make it look about perfect. We've masked it off, and now we're ready to go ahead and mix another batch of epoxy real fast, and I'll go do that right now. This is pretty simple. This will be a small batch because we're just filling some voids to cover some cosmetic issues. Remember, you could sail the kayak now. You could go out and have fun and forget about this and save this part of the process for later. But we'll go ahead and do it right now. So I'm mixing it up. I believe this will be plenty. If it's not, I'll make another quick batch. But we're just filling some small voids. So, oops, broke. Just have an ordinary popsicle stick here, nothing. Set that over there. Okay. And again, I'm going to cut another little spatula. I like that. I'm going to make a thin one this time. It's very, very simple. I said if you can put frosting on a cake, you can do this. I'm going to make one more even smaller spatula. A little bit narrower, I think might be a hair better. Okay, I'll walk over to the boat with this. I also have just a ordinary cheap brush and some Q-tips also that might be helpful. And maybe I'll try applying this with my spatula and see how it goes. It's going pretty good. You want to try and fill the voids. Here's that's where a good sized void right there. You can hear a sewing machine in the background there. So we're still making sails for you, everybody. Okay. I have a feeling this batch is going to not be big enough, but so I'm going to go ahead and make another batch in a second, but we won't record that. But you can see I'm just kind of going in and pushing it into all the voids and just continuing to build it up. And after this, we'll sand it down and it will be done. So in the next frame or the next clip, you'll see us taking it off and sanding it. We're back again. We've put one more coat on this to work on making it more cosmetic. Right now, it is 100% structurally sound. As a matter of fact, rigging a deck plate like this actually makes it stronger because it is perfectly matched to your deck, which just reduces stress areas. It brings it dissipates the forces more uniformly. So this is actually even better than using one of our pre-cut adapter blocks. So I just wanted to let you know that. But this is, for all practical purposes, it's done, but it's ugly. So we're professionals. We're gonna go ahead and make it look nice. So I'll go ahead and take off this tape, just kind of tear it off. And then, okay, that's a little bit stuck in there, which is not a big deal. And then I could use a screwdriver like this to just remove the bolts. But to make it quick, I'm gonna use my drill. And now this should pop off of here real easy. Yeah, and it did. And you can see here, there is that's what it looks like on the bottom. No big deal. This has been here all weekend, so it's pretty hard. It's hardened up really good. Let's clean that up a little bit, but you can see, there we go. It's ready to go. But this is definitely, I would clean this up for sure. Not that it's a big deal. Look at the breaks right off of there. A lot of it. Be careful not to cut myself. Sometimes these edges get to be sharp. And this will take about 5 minutes of sanding, I'm guessing. This is a pretty good sized glob, but like I said, if you wanted to go kayak sailing, just put this on here, put your deck plate on, and just go sailing. Okay, so in the next frame, we'll go ahead and sand this down, and you can see how that happens, because you'll probably want to do it to make it look nice. Here we have the adapter block we've been working on off the boat, and I'm going to go ahead and start trying to perfect it and clean it up. Basically, I have sandpaper. I just happen to have some 60 grit, some really gritty, aggressive stuff, and then 100 and 180. You could do this all with any one of these, but this is faster, and this will make it look a little nicer if you want to get to be really anal. Now, I'm going to try and cut this off with a knife while I'm at it. It's just to kind of get rid of a lot of it, maybe the easy way. You know, whatever works is what you do. Just like you were decorating a cake. You know, just clean it up and make it look nice. This is not for structural purposes or anything like that. So there's a spot that I could whack off probably. Okay, so I've gone that far with it. Now I'll go to this 60 grit. If you have a belt sander, you could get this done even quicker, but this is pretty good. You can see that it's coming down. help if I had a full sheet of sandpaper, but I don't. Okay, it's getting down there. So you can see it's pretty much done right there because you can see the original adapter block. I'm going to put a little extra pressure there. Okay, you can see that. That's pretty much done, at least for the rough grit. I'm going to go over here to this lighter grit stuff. Okay, look at that now. Starting to look really good. And I'll come over here to this fine grit material. And yeah, you could do a little more than that, but you get the idea that this side looks pretty good now. And I'll go ahead and do this for all 4 sides, and then it will look really nice. Maybe I just paint it with some whatever varnish if you want to go crazy, or some thin epoxy or urethane, whatever. But it is definitely going to look, it's really going to look nice here in a little bit. So we'll come back when we're done with all 4 sides and show it to you. Well, I sanded down the 3 other sides of the adapter block. Here's our deck plate, by the way. But we're working on the adapter block. And you can see it looks really good now. It's done. You know, 99% of people would say this is done, and it is done. It's structurally done for sure. Let's go ahead and go over here. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the boat and see how easy this is to do. Okay, gotta get this screw, find the screws, and there's one. And 2. So now it's on there. It is absolutely structurally sound. I mean, this is as solid as it's going to get. And you know, like I said, when you do a custom molded adapter block like this, it's easy to do, and it actually makes the rigging job a little more solid. It's not substantial, but it's actually more solid than it would be if you didn't do this. And it looks good. It's a nice fit. It's great. And it will be good for the life of the kayak. Okay, here is the adapter block. It's done. It's on the boat. The sail is on, so you can see that too. And this is utterly structurally sound. It's solid. It works. And if you back up with the camera a little bit, you can see the entire rig and see how solid and strong it all is. It's like very well done. And now you can also see the boat and the sail are one. So when the wind hits it, it's going to go. The boat's going to go. It's not going to. The mast is not going to bend. It's not going to fold. The deck is not going to collapse. Nothing's going to happen. And at the same time, you still have all the same functionality that you have with the Falcon Sail. You can lower the sail like this, fold it up compactly onto your deck, and then it's ready to sail again. I'll go ahead and raise the sail again by pulling on the forestay. And there you go. You can see the rigging job. It is complete, and it's solid, and it's well done. It looks good. It's functional. It's reliable. It has everything you want in a good, solid sailing rig, and you can have one of these too.